Alrighty, hello. My name is Haley. I am a nutrition provider here at Vitality Health Matrix. And for today's call, we're just doing a general Q&A for elevated lifestyle strategies for overall wellness. So let me see. I have a number of questions that were submitted previous to this live call today. Now, I do have one really good question here. And Betty, I'm going to encourage you to unmute yourself and just kind of elaborate a little bit more on what your question is, and we can just talk through it together.
Okay, yes. So the real question is, while you're on this health journey and you are losing some of the fat, I like to call it what it is, what are some things you can have as far as to eat in order to uh, like protein in order to not have that meat hanging. I think that's a big concern of people, and also having some things like when you're on the go. I have tried some protein bars, but some of those really kind of irritate my tummy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. And you mentioned food noise. So do you feel like there is more food noise going on for you right now, or can you elaborate a little bit more about that?
Um, Sometimes the food noise, I think maybe I'm not eating enough. I believe that's where it's coming from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great questions. So I will circle back to your first question. It's kind of a two-part question here, which is great. Just some options that you can start turning to help continue to burn fat, right? But build muscle and, really just create that strong, healthy body that I think we're all working towards, especially in this program. So with that, and you mentioned protein is going to be so helpful. But even before I really delve deeper into protein, we just kind of want to go back to the basics here and really start to leverage our home-based behaviors. This will never go out of style. It might start sounding old after a little bit. I know we actually got to work together for those 90 days, so I can't even tell you how many times I probably mentioned home base, right? But that's just going to be something that you can snap your fingers and realize, maybe I wasn't having enough vegetables yesterday or this past week or this past month even, right? Maybe that's something I need to start working on starting today and grow stronger in that habit moving forward. And then you could look to the other home-based behaviors, which is water intake, sleep, movement, right? Pick one of those areas and see, maybe I'm not getting enough water either, right? So instead of, just feeling like you're scrambling and you don't know what to do, you can always go back to home base and ask those questions of what do I need to add more to continue feeling good on the inside out and to continue feeling good with your body composition, right? And what the scale is reading. So all of that can be super powerful. And I never want you to feel like you have to do everything all at once, right? We could focus on that habit stacking. Like I said in my example, focus on veggies first if you realize you're a little bit lower in that intake, then focus on water, then focus on protein or whatever you want that order to be. Now, moving into the protein category, that is going to be so, so helpful, not only to feel truly nourished and satiated, but to help with your blood sugar, help with your hormone balance, help with your metabolism. And again, complete protein, meaning a protein source that provides all the essential amino acids that we need, right? That comes from our animal proteins, that comes from, of course, dairy, even simple grab and go options like beef sticks, right? From Paleo Valley or Chomps. And I'm sure there's a ton of other companies that are coming out with really good quality beef sticks as well. Or you could do good quality beef jerky, even if you have like a local, farm even, that sells their meats, you could get good quality options like that too. Of course, hard-boiled eggs, if you want to just do a big batch of hard-boiled eggs, you could either have them as is, or you can chop them up, make them into like an egg salad, right? If dairy is your friend, your body can digest that well. You can make your egg salad with Greek yogurt, for example, and some other seasonings. If you kind of want it to be on the lighter side and more protein packed with that Greek yogurt. So that could be really helpful. You can also, cook a bunch of chicken together and make a chicken salad, right? Just some different ideas there. What I always want to point to is the resource library in your program. You could check that out, and there's actually a snack guide for high protein options in there that you have access to. So you could look through all of that too and just kind of see what really resonates with you, especially when you're needing those grab and go options. But I always want to really just nail this down and say start to prioritize fueling your body well at each meal. That doesn't mean skipping a meal, right? We need that breakfast, we need that lunch, and we need that dinner, and we need good quality protein sources at each meal, ensuring you're getting proper vegetables, and those complex carbs always have room on our plate too. And most oftentimes we feel that, a complex carb at breakfast and or even lunch can be really helpful for us to give us the energy that we need during the day. So going through all of that, any other questions, Betty? Any feedback or takeaways from what I just talked about?
Yeah, I like that you were talking about going back to home base, and I think adding the veggies back in. I think that's a big key too, to make sure you have a big. Normally, I love salads, but it's cold, so I like more of the warm foods. So, like maybe
Totally.
I was looking for some of the warm salads to do, like with, and yeah, and maybe add in some beans in. I think maybe that could help with fiber as well.
There you go. Absolutely. I love that. And I love that you mentioned that as well. I mean, I live in Pennsylvania, and I think this morning I saw the temperature of like -7, which that's something I don't want to go outside in. So I get it. I love salads as well, but I'm not going to be eating like a big raw, salad or just a lot of raw foods during these cold days, because we really want to think about it this way. Our outside environment, meaning whatever's going on outside, whether it is blistering hot or it's blistering cold, we kind of want to counteract that and ensure that our internal environment, meaning in our stomach, in our gut, is kind of the opposite of that, right? And that's kind of where cold and flu season comes from, especially during this time, is if we are continuing to eat cold things, salads, smoothies, really, raw veggies for snacks. Like there's nothing wrong with those foods, but sometimes just depending on our gut health, especially, we can't handle that. That's too much coldness, right, on our outside and internal environment. So we want to lean towards more warming foods to help counteract the season that we're in. So what I personally do, instead of having a big beautiful salad at lunch, I will just, I always have leftover veggies from dinner. I have like a big storage container that I keep of that. And so in a pan for lunch, I will just heat up those vegetables. I'll probably add some more spinach to that. And I warm up my vegetables that way. And I call it like my warm salad, right? And then I add my protein on top, ensuring at least 30 grams of protein, if not more. Maybe some avocado on the side if I need that, or some sweet potatoes, some good complex carb or starchy veggie to add to that meal too, to really round it out. So hopefully that idea helps you too.
Oh yeah, I do. I like that. Definitely. I did get some different like yams, or I think they're sweet potatoes, however, and added that onto some of my veggies too. Just trying to, like you said, when the weather is like this, you really the cold foods really. Even like I was thinking, I've tried to do some smoothies, and I was like, These are it doesn't yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
really do it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, totally. I understand that. And I wrote this down too, and I'm glad I did because if I don't write things down, then I could easily forget. But I know you mentioned protein bars, and that can bring some stomach issues for you. So of course, when we're in a pinch or we need that boost in protein, like a good quality protein powder can be really helpful for that. But when it comes to protein powders or protein bars, we really want to be just aware of what the ingredients are in some of these products. The supplement and, especially the protein supplement industry is insane. I mean, there are thousands of different options out there, right? So, we just always want to do our diligence and turn that package over and actually read what's in the ingredients. Is there any artificial sweeteners? If something says zero sugar, and it's still a sweet product, there's obviously something sweetening it, right? So we want to turn that bar around to read the ingredient list and just identify some of the things that could be in there that could be causing some of those stomach issues for you, digestive issues. I know my digestive tract, it can be very sensitive to different ingredients like that. So I personally have to be careful with that. So Betty, if you want to look at a protein powder PDF guide, I may have sent this to you already when we were working together. Let me know if I did. But that can just go through some of the ingredients you want to be aware of, some things that you want to be sure the protein product has, and some other ingredients that it doesn't have. So let me know if you need that, unless you already have that in your tool belt.
Yeah, I would definitely go and check and see if I have it. If not, I mean, you probably could just link it down at the end of the video. That probably could help others as well. And
Perfect.
also,
Yes.
if you have any, like you said, sometimes you are in a pinch and you're going, you're on the road and you need something. I know we just need to prepare better. But are there any protein bars that you would recommend?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I will always say that sometimes those experiences where you realize, oh, I didn't prepare as well as maybe I should have, those are good opportunities to say, hey, next time in this scenario, I am going to prepare something, right? So always be willing to learn from those experiences, but having something on hand, of course, is always helpful too, because I will always say having something is better than having nothing at all. So, a lot of the brands that I have in that protein powder PDF guide also offer protein bars in there too. So Truvani is a really good brand, and I know they offer protein bars in their whole shop collection. And oh goodness, I feel like Paleo Valley also offers some good protein bars. So I will go back through in the group chat, in the community chat thread that we have for the club community. I am going to drop these PDFs under my video from today, and I'm going to make sure that there's clear guidance for good protein bars as well. Does that work?
Yes, thank you so much.
Awesome.
And yeah, and so with the loose skin, I mean, I guess, more exercise, of course, the right strength training, I guess that would go toward that. But also eating the right amount of proteins help too, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Protein, really that's something sometimes that we just need to nail down first is getting enough protein in our daily diet. And then yes, slowly adding in some strength training, resistance training, whatever that can look like, is going to be just so profound for just how you feel, how you're building muscle. Muscle is the organ to longevity, really. So we want to be sure that we are protecting our muscle health. And as we continue to build strong, lean muscle, we will continue to burn that fat as well. So that goes hand in hand too. But yeah, protein, 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 at least again, 30 grams of protein at each meal, totaling at least 90 grams of protein. But really, once you start feeling good with that, explore a little bit more. And, just ensure that you're feeling good, especially in between meals. If you don't find that you're needing snacks in between meals because you're having a good protein packed and, complete meal at each mealtime, then that's awesome. But you will really start to notice the benefits of this with consistency, right? Consistency is king. So, yeah, if you have any other questions with that, though, please let us know in that community chat thread. Right, awesome.
Okay, yes, thank you so much.
Yes, you are so welcome. Thank you. Those were great questions. Let me see here. I have, and this question comes up often, so I'm glad somebody asked it. But this question is, do I have to use a scale? Now, my answer to this is probably going to be a little long-winded, but just stick with me. Okay. So, the first question I like to ask whenever, maybe I'm on a one-on-one call with a client and they really have resistance around this and they're really just wanting to know, like, why do you have us use a scale to weigh in every day? So, my first question I want to ask, especially if this is coming up for you, if you're listening now or to the recording, is what is coming up for you surrounding the scale. There's, of course, absolutely no judgment here. We understand that the scale can be a trigger for some individuals. So we always hold space for that. And we really just love to talk through it as well. So we can help you feel heard and help you feel comfortable and confident in what you're doing and what you committed to. Right. So, let's bring awareness around what's coming up for you first. But then also, we need to understand that we are here for weight loss, right? And if we don't have a starting weight or even a weight to look back on, then our results can be really subjective and sway based upon how we feel, like how we feel in our body or in our mind emotionally, right? That could change from day to day versus having something we can reference and rationalize with. So it's really helpful to have something we can look back on and know that we have made that progress and the habits that we've implemented with nutrition, right? With the food that we're having on a day to day basis, the water intake that we're having, our stress management, how our quality of sleep is, right? Are we moving our body? Are we balancing our blood sugar? All of these things tie so wonderfully together and can really point towards, if we are really serving our body well or if there's areas that need improvement. So, weighing daily is simply a tool, nothing more, nothing less. That is really what we use. And this is what I tell my clients all the time. We use the number on the scale as a data point to really help us make connections about whether certain behaviors or habits are helping to reduce inflammation or not. And you can get to use that gathered information, that data, to make empowered choices to move forward implementing habits that are going to make you feel your best. That they're going to help to bring your body systems into balance and help you achieve a healthy weight that you are after. But, it's not even just about the number on the scale, right? Seeing that number go down, yes, that equates to a lot of different things. But number one is inflammation going down. And when inflammation goes down, your symptoms start to feel better. And when inflammation is lower in our body, that also allows our body, that reduces the stress, right? And that allows our body to go into a healing stage that our body feels, supported enough to be able to heal and to balance the body systems. It's just all a wonderful equation that yields to weight loss. I always say weight loss is a byproduct of those things happening, but really ultimately we want to see what is helping to lower inflammation and what is bringing it on. Okay, so that could be very telling. Now, I will say if an individual is just not about to use the scale at all, knowing that they maybe just aren't in the right mindset or headspace for that. we will meet you there. All right. But, here is one concern that can come up. Say you don't have a starting number, and in the very first 2 weeks of starting this program, you're focusing on home based behaviors, you're adding more nourishing habits to your routine, you're feeling really good. And maybe you're starting to notice inflammation is going down, your clothes are fitting better, maybe your joint pain is going down, right? You could tell progress is being made. But then maybe the next week you're feeling a little more bloated and it feels like your pants aren't fitting a little more tighter, right? It can be really frustrating to play the guessing game as to why this can be happening. But that's where logging everything, weight included, in your journals here on Practice Get Better can be so telling and can let us know what came up, right? That led to those digestive issues or led to that inflammation. So maybe it could point to, your period coming, for example, or if you've been more stressed lately, or maybe you didn't have a bowel movement for a few days, right? Maybe you got something new at the grocery store and that particular food isn't serving you well. Whatever may be connecting you to feeling that way won't be fully understood because you don't have that data to help you make that discernment, right? So that would be my concern with that because there's just truly so much you can learn when you lean into all of these tools instead of being dissatisfied and thinking you've made no progress when really you have. You're just missing some information that will help you continue to make progress that you came here to make. So, our hope, of course, in this program and the modules created is to help you form a better relationship with the scale long term. So, that is why we encourage using this scale. And again, we will always meet you where you need to be met at if this is something that you struggle with. I even say this like, hey, are you good with weighing in weekly or a couple times a week, right? And if we're still continuing to see good progress, good forward movement, then awesome. But it's in those times where maybe there's a stall in weight loss, the individual isn't feeling good digestively, or some other symptoms are coming up, right? And we really need to lean in and collect all that data that we can to help make that discernment, make those connections, and make tweaks to continue resolving some of those symptoms and making that forward progress. So hopefully that long-winded answer really helps. But that just dives deep into the why we do these things that we do here at Vitality Health Matrix for nutrition and lifestyle support. All right, now another question is, I'm up in weight, what do I do? All right, so this kind of ties in beautifully with what I just talked about in regards to using the scale, right, and logging in your journals. But my first question I typically ask, and this is something you can ask yourself, is do you know what caused this rise, this uptick, right? Try and find any insights that you can give yourself or that you can give your nutritionist if you are actively, working with us, have access to us, right? Now, sometimes we will see an increase. And again, kind of reiterating what I just said, but that's just when we have to ask ourselves these questions like, did I have a bowel movement? How has sleep been? Did I get enough water in yesterday or the past couple days? Have I had enough vegetables or am I kind of slacking in that? Because maybe I'm not preparing, right? Oh, all right. So sorry. Did you eat out, or maybe did you have some kind of processed food, or some higher sodium in some processed food? Going out to eat too, that could lead to maybe consuming some inflammatory oils that your body just can't properly process efficiently, right? So there are so many different factors that could lead to a slight uptick. And most often, I feel like we are always able to find some kind of connection. But I will say, and this even happens with myself, right? Because I use the scale as a tool as well. And I love journaling just to better understand my body, especially if I realize I've gotten off track with some of these strong habits, that I know I can reel back in, but I just need to get back to journaling, get back into some of these utilizing some of these tools, right, to get back to where I want to be. Um, I think that's perfect. We're all human, right? So we are, just all work in progress in that way. But I can find that, oh my goodness, I am not drinking as much water as what I thought I was. It can bring so much awareness in that way when you lean back into your journals and you start making those connections. But as I was saying, sometimes there might not be a clear connection. Maybe there's just some weird outlier and it's like, I have no idea where this uptick came from. And then you get back on the scale next morning and it's back down and everything's okay, right? You continue trending in the right direction. There's just some weird outlier that again, very few times are we able to make connections for that, and things continue to move in the right direction. It is all okay. There could be a slight fluctuation, with hormones or blood sugar, maybe something went a little haywire there for a hot second. And then your body is so smart and it was able to balance itself back out. All right. So always lean into your journals, always be willing to ask those questions and just kind of gut check yourself and see, is there an area that I need to add more to continue nourishing myself on a good level to help my body feel safe enough to release some of this inflammation. All right. Another question I got is I am waking up tired even though I'm sleeping. No problem getting to sleep. They're sleeping at least 7 to 9 hours a night, but still waking up tired. What do I do? So, we are a whole team here for you, right? So, medical providers, like we do so much to help support sleep, whether that is from a hormone looking through that lens of maybe we need to adjust progesterone, right? Or maybe we need to do more magnesium, or maybe there's some things on the lifestyle side that we can start implementing as well, right? To really help just get your circadian rhythm into a better flow, like keeping a 30-minute boundary before bed of no electronics, right? I could go so much deeper into that, but one little tip that you can start implementing if this is resonating with you is try to have 4 ounces of cold tart cherry juice about 45 minutes before bed. Doing this consistently, the tart cherry juice has been shown to naturally raise melatonin levels in the body in a non-habit forming way, unlike taking melatonin supplements, right? That can be a little habit forming, but this is completely natural, completely safe, and completely nourishing as well. So, you know, hang in there. Healing sleep can be a little bit frustrating, but we just need to address it gently and ensure that we're just gradually working in this area. I will always say consistency is like a muscle, so we always need to work on something consistently in order to reap the benefits of it, right? So you could totally implement this simple strategy by adding in 4 ounces of cold tart cherry juice. Again, that's 45 minutes before bed. But there are so many wonderful ways you can help improve your sleep, circadian rhythm. And if you do have access to our program, go back into those modules, especially under the adding versus subtracting module, and see what that has to say, right? Listen to all the examples that we have in there and how you could start to nourish the area of sleep. All right. So one last question I got is feeling bloated after meals. Why do I always feel bloated after meals? So my first question to anybody who asks me this is how well are you chewing your food? And are you approaching your meal very fast paced, or are you slowing down and you're being more intentional about approaching your meal in a less stressed way, right? I feel like as we get older, we have kids, we have busy jobs, we've got all these things that we're doing, right? Sometimes a meal is the last thing we feel like we have time for, but we sneak it in anyways and we shovel it down and we don't even remember what we just ate because we're on to the next thing. right? And then maybe you feel bloated after that, or maybe you're experiencing other digestive issues like gas or diarrhea, right? Just some things that, of course, we don't want to be dealing with. We don't want to be feeling that way. So this really takes some intentional practice, and it takes time to work on this practice as well. But I will say, pick at least one meal. And if that's breakfast, then awesome. Take that breakfast time to slow down, breathe with me, right? Approach that meal very mindfully. And, even, just take a couple deep breaths before you approach that meal so you can ensure that your nervous system is ready for that, right? We have our fight or flight response in our nervous system, and we have the rest and digest response. We want to be sure that we are in rest and digest. So our body is able and willing, right? It's noticing, hey, we're about to have this meal and we are ready to digest it. If we are in a high stressed environment, if we are go, 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 and that stress response is triggered, that fight or flight, then our body isn't looking to digest food, right? So that is my number one tip there is slow down when you approach that meal, and just be with it, right? Be mindful and be in tune to that. But also, the second tip to this is chew well as well. All right, we want to be at least reaching applesauce consistency with each bite of food before we swallow. Um, Optimal digestion starts in the mouth, right? So when we chew our food maybe a couple times and we swallow big particles of our food, yes, of course, we have stomach acid to help assist in that further digestion of that food, but it can't do it all, right? That stomach acid, our stomach needs assistance from the first step in digestion. So, when we swallow those big particles of food, the stomach acid isn't able to completely, break down that food. So then it moves on throughout our digestive tract. And that's where we could get that bloating. That's where we could get those other digestive issues because these big particles of food, they're just too big. They really shouldn't be that big flowing through our digestive tract that way. That could cause, issues like or symptoms like leaky gut as well, right? So chew your food as well. Um, Also, if you're maybe eating new foods that your body is not used to digesting, that will take time, right? To create those digestive enzymes to properly break that food down. It will build up that digestive enzyme as you continue to eat those new foods more consistently. Maybe you're slowly introducing more ferments into your diet, like naturally fermented sauerkraut or kimchi or things like that. Do so very mindfully and incrementally so you could build up and help with the digestive process of those new foods. Now, we could also always look into digestive enzymes to help with digestion as well. Vitality Health Matrix, we did come out with an amazing supplement line that I just absolutely love. And one of our supplements is called Vital Enzymes. If you are looking into a digestive enzyme and you want something that's really gentle and potent on your digestive tract. All right, so hopefully that helps you there. That wraps up all of the questions that I received before this live call here. I'm so happy that we had Betty on so she could ask a few of those questions as well. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you soon.